Hey, it's Del Jackson, LOHoops.com. We got special guests tonight. We got Wally Walker, Assistant Athletic Director at UVA, his current role. And we got Ethan Benne. And I don't know, I put down there, you guys are alumni, but then I'm like, well, maybe Ethan's not quite there yet. So both of you guys are on the top five of Penn Manor all-time scoring. So I thought we'd bring you guys together. I love history. Ethan's got my 50th year book. He wanted to talk, and we talked to Donnie Martin, who coached Ethan at one point, and we set this up with Wally. So how you doing, Wally?
Great. You're good to be with you guys. Reminisce a little bit.
And Ethan, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing real well. I'm doing real well.
Hey, I heard you got a game tomorrow night.
Yes, sir. We're going all the way down to Conshohocken.
All right. Well, good luck with that. I didn't tell Wally off screen that you won a dunk contest last night, and we got a good picture up. Did you check the pictures out?
I did. I saw Andy got himself a silhouette and everything.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Hey, what?
So you know more about this game? Is it an AAU game? Something else? Who are you playing with, Ethan?
So it's like a tournament style thing. The coach from Octorara put it together. So it's a couple guys from the LL. And then a couple guys from like Coatesville, that area, and we're playing.
Okay.
Tomorrow we actually play against a kid named Jalil Bethea, who is like the #1 player in Pennsylvania this year. So it's just like a big tournament down in Philly. It's called the D'Onofrio Classic.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited. We played the first round last week, so it's been really cool. I never knew about it, but it's a fun experience.
Yeah, good. Congratulations too.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's just talk about Wally. We're going to do Penn Manor stuff because I know your background is varied and you've had a lot of experience in a lot of different aspects of your life. But I want to kind of pull together the two of you guys. I want to pull together some Penn Manor stuff. So we'll start with Wally. Wally, I coached in that old gym before Ethan's played in a new gym. So what was some of your recollections playing in that gym?
Well, a couple of things you might have heard Don Martin was talking about all the time. The old fan-shaped backboards. We didn't have square backboards, so it was good for me because Ethan going baseline. You kind of sometimes if you get up in the air, you got to worry about ducking because you might hit that underside. Not with those fan-shaped. You had a lot of room to go baseline and get up and under. But the other thing is our games were packed. You had to be there for the beginning of the JV game to get a seat for our games, and of course we never lost any games in my 2 years, Don Martin's 2 years in the varsity.
Yeah. I don't know, Ethan, do you remember in that old gym or not? Were you ever in the old gym before it was ripped up?
I remember the good old West gym. I remember Coach Martin always be like, "This is where Wally Walker played."
Yeah.
Like, how in the heck do you play games in here? It got all dusty. It was rough.
Well, of course, it was a long time ago when I was playing, and it was a cool high school gym at that time. 50 years later, I can't speak for it.
Oh man, Ethan's got a brand new gym. Have you been in a new gym, Wally? Have you got?
I have not. I've not seen the renovation of the high school, and I'm going to look forward to that.
It's really nice, and I've pushed for, and I think we're gonna get the 1,000-point banners up there. We haven't had that before,
okay.
So we're working on that.
Oh,
So
okay.
that'll be cool. And then I want to tell Ethan, I saw Wally play. I was a couple years behind him. I graduated from Anvil Cleona, but I went to see him play high school ball. He was an outstanding player, and it was fun to watch. And you're gonna like this now. Wally was 6'7", kind of like Ethan, and it's like had the shot, had the baseline shot, had the baseline drive, which was awesome, Ethan. It was awesome. No 3-point play, none of that stuff. So, and Wally played 2 years. I gave away your JV book to somebody.
It's funny. I didn't make the varsity as a sophomore, and my coach Harry Fry, our fantastic coach and good friend Harry Fry, gets up and tells people now. I just heard him tell a story recently that, hey, when I was a sophomore, they didn't even know I was in the gym. And I had stopped him one time and said, Harry, you don't remember when we scrimmaged the varsity late in the season that year? The JV beat the varsity. We beat the varsity. I was in the gym that day. I'm telling you that. But I wasn't ready. I weighed about 140 pounds, 6'2". So then I grew and got a little stronger. And I was ready that next year.
Nice. Nice, nice. Ethan, tell Wally and us what have been the cool things that have happened to you this year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously renovation was big. That ended like last summer. So it's super nice. I mean, it's like a college facility now.
Is it
So
okay?
beautiful, beautiful weight room. We have a new auxiliary gym that has
Wow.
3 full courts in it. I know the old one was just like one back like garage floor court. So that's been a huge upgrade. And then obviously this year coming in, it's just been cool. It's the first time in a while, like you were saying, the old day West Gym games were absolutely packed, and we haven't had that for a while. But we started to get a little bit more this year, which is really
How
cool.
many does the new gym seat?
Probably we're still playing in the East Gym for games and stuff. So I'm guessing that sheets around 1,000, maybe more. I'm not really good at that
I'll
type of.
help there. I would say about 1,800, 17 to
Wow. Okay.
1,800.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a good size high
Yeah.
school gym, which I think was about the capacity of the old gym. Dell, you may know that too, but
Well, when you guys had people sitting on the baseline and around the corner and between those crazy double doors, the best place to watch a game was between the double doors with no seating.
yeah. Well, I can tell you guys now, since we're talking about that gym, for my senior year, might have been into my junior year, my teammate, good friend Jim Baker, somehow got a key to the gym. And so we would sneak in there. And by the way, we knew how to get the door open at Brooks Hall, the old Millersville gym too. So we had plenty of places to go practice. And I think I'm safe now, 50 years later, confessing to that.
Hey, Ethan, have you ever shot a hoop at Brooks Gym?
I actually did once when I was probably like 5 or 6. You could still get in those doors in the summertime, and I remember going in there with my dad shooting a couple of times.
It was hot. That was a hot gym. I was there every Sunday summer afternoon, and air conditioning was not a thing.
It's so neat to kind of come around circle. And I know Wally, you guys had to sneak in the gym. Ethan, they got to kick him out of the gym. I mean, like he's always in the gym. The boy has a motor. It's a crazy motor that he has. And we watched a senior all-star game last night. It was over at Hempfield, and their AAU coach Gene Lambert was sitting in front of us. And he kept saying, he says, "Save your legs, Ethan, save your legs. We got a game Thursday." It was so funny. It was great. It was great. How Ethan, what was your feelings like when you scored your 1,000th point? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean, it was already a crazy game because that was obviously Cedar Crest. It was going to be one of our biggest games of the year. They're obviously coming into the year, they're like the top dog. So at that time, we were I think I needed 9 or something like that to start the game. I had like 4 in the first half, the slow first half, but we were right there. And then we started going on a little bit of a run, and that's when I got it. So it felt amazing to be in the middle of that run. So we already had the energy going for us, and then we were able to extend that run too. So it was a really good mixture of a lot of good emotions heading into the end of that game.
That's neat. Wally, I want to say this to you, and I didn't experience you being in high school, but he's got all these little kids running around and getting his autograph and taking pictures with him. And I know when you played, they didn't have the digital pictures, but I'm sure you had quite the following of the youngsters when you were playing.
Yeah, it grew pretty quickly. Of course, it kind of came out of nowhere and then escalated. And then I go from off the grid in terms of being recruited to then being a big recruit. And then, I have a picture in Sports Illustrated back when that was a thing, before I even played a game in college, as a potential freshman of impacts. First year freshmen were eligible. So all of a sudden, here I come from Millersville, then I'm playing in the ACC, and I'm featured in Sports Illustrated. I wasn't quite prepared for that attention. And by the way, when they took the picture, the photographer came to Charlottesville, and he tells me, we're going to spend a couple hours taking these pictures, and it's between you and another guy for the cover. I'm like, I'm saying to him, please don't put me on the cover. I proved nothing here. And then a guy named, who you probably haven't heard of, named Walter Luckett, got on the cover, and I just had a picture inside. And
who was on the cover?
A year or two. His name was Walter Luckett, Ohio U. Okay. He was rated one of the top couple high school guys my year, but had a decent college career, got hurt a little bit. I think he lasted a year or two in the NBA and was gone.
Let's go back to Wally about 1,000 points. Do you remember that? Did they make a big deal of it back in the day? Because
I have no idea.
And only guy. You were the only guy that was on that list for 1,000 points for Penn Manor for the longest time. I mean, I don't even remember getting mentioned. What did get mentioned? I didn't break the county scoring record, which I don't know if someone's broken it since or not, on average until the final game. It was at Hempfield, and I needed 39 in the final game to break the record. And, it was funny. Of course, I think I was focused on playing the game, but you can look up in the stands and see our fans marking out every point to make sure, I got it. And I made it with a left-hand hook. I went across the lane for a left-hand hook. That's how I made it. Well, let me say something on that. We wrote a book on the 50-year of the Lancaster-Lebanon League, and I mentioned that you were the best player that never played in the Lancaster-Lebanon League. But we also interviewed a referee, and one of the referees had that game, Ed Flick. I don't know if you remember Ed.
Yeah, I remember Ed, sure.
Oh, yeah. So he's in the book, and he mentioned that game that you were just talking about.
Ed Flick I saw because there was a function this was 10 years ago at Lancaster Catholic High School where all my teammates came back, and Ed was being honored, so I got to make jokes about his refereeing. He was actually a very good referee. But a couple guys put me up to saying something about Ed. So that's funny. I'd forgotten he was there.
Yeah, that was pretty good. All right, Ethan, we're going to turn it back over to you and your homework. Let's go, big guy.
All right, for sure. So I was just I actually got to talk to your coach Fry, probably
which is always a fun experience, by the way. He's a good man. Yeah.
He was getting a tour through the high school or something, and he stumbled into me and started talking to me. And he was telling me a bunch of the stories. So I was just wondering, kind of like what it was like playing for him. I know he was talking a little bit about how towards the end, he did tell me the story about you not making the varsity team sophomore year. He told me about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was just playing for him.
Well, I learned so much from him, not just about basketball, but about life. He was a great mentor and very wise and a lot of fun. I mean, we worked very hard, in season, off season, but I can't remember a time when we didn't have a practice where we weren't laughing and having a good time together. And he set the tone. Now, he was still a good player, and we've accused him of this. He's now at an age where he won't deny it. My junior year, we only had 9 guys that are full-time on the varsity. Well, what was the reason for that? We're convinced it was because he wanted to be the 10th in scrimmage with us. So when we went 5-on-5, he was in the scrimmages. I'll tell you one more story about him. Crazy, and I love the fact you're a gym rat, because that's how you're going to be good and succeed. So you, without having seen you play, given all that, you got a chance. But we used to play. We couldn't get in the high school gym when I was in school on weekends. It was a policy. We couldn't practice on Saturday. Crazy. But so we would go and play in the old growers' barn, the tomato growers' barn in Washington Borough during the season on a Sunday, which was sooty and dirty and the wall. So my senior year, before we're playing our first league game, was at Ephrata on a Tuesday night. We're there playing in the growers' barn on a Sunday, and I rolled my ankle. It wasn't bad, but I rolled it, and I limped off, and it wasn't good. Well, and I've told the story, with a lot of coaches, you tell them I got hurt playing barn ball. In fact, 2 days before the first game, they'd be upset with you, right? Well, guess what? Coach Fry was in the game. He was playing with us. So that was how we did things. And the facilities weren't great, but if you love to play, you love to play, right?
Absolutely, you find a way.
Yeah,
that's funny. He was also telling me about how it was crazy. He started getting calls from guys like John Wood and everything. I was just kind of wondering what that process was like for you. I know you said it kind of sprung up on you, but what was the recruiting process like for you, and what made you make the decision for Virginia?
Yeah, I'll try to give you the executive summary version here. Yeah, I really wasn't. I was recruited some the fall of my senior year, including by Virginia. They got in early, maybe partially answer your question, because the coach of Lebanon Valley, a guy named Roger Gatley, saw me play at Camp Gettysburg at Gettysburg College as a counselor and said to the coach at Virginia, "Hey, his name's Bill Gibson. You better get up and see this guy." And they never heard of me. I never went to the 5-star camp. I didn't know about him.
Yeah.
So I was off the grid, and then when people saw me, it kind of blew up. But along the way, all of a sudden, I remember Coach Fry coming to get me out of class and said, "I just got a call from John Wooden." Well, in those days, UCLA was like UCLA because they just won the national championship every year, and they recruited very few players nationwide. So I wasn't going to go to the West Coast. So that was easy. I got to know Coach Wooden years later, but I never did talk to him. But what Dean Smith then, North Carolina, got in late. It was probably not till February of my senior year, so the season's almost over. All of a sudden, they put a huge rush on. I'd already visited Duke, and Duke wasn't as good back then. Penn was really good. Chuck Daly, Hall of Fame coach, was at Penn, so I was interested in them. But then North Carolina got involved late, so that's what my decision came down to. North Carolina, Virginia. I love the ACC, even as a 17-year-old. So how's a knucklehead 17-year-old decide?
Yes.
Well, you're not a knucklehead, but you had to go through the same thing. And a lot of it was just I got oriented towards Virginia because I got in early. It was closer to home. It was a great academic school, and for me, it was the right call. I'm lucky to have made that call.
Absolutely. So, like, what was your career like at Virginia? I know it was like it would have been 1975, right? Was your first year?
No, 72, 73.
32, 73.
So freshmen, and this is crazy again for people thinking about it now, weren't eligible to play on the varsity. There was a freshman team until that year. So that's why I got this picture in Sports Illustrated, because they're trying to figure who are going to be the impactful freshmen in the first year of eligibility. So then I broke my foot before the first game, missed the first couple, wasn't a bad break. So then I was working my way into the lineup. But I did become a starter, average kind of 14 a game, and played fine. And then I made really after that year, I made the U.S. national team. It was the summer after we lost the Olympics for the first time. And we had a team of college players to go over and play in Russia in a thing called the World University Games, kind of a mini Olympics. So that was a big deal. I'd come a long way from, not making the varsity as a sophomore at Penn Manor to making the national team kind of 2 years later. And we went to Russia and won the gold medal. We had a guy named David Thompson, which Dale probably remembers, but he was the best college player I've ever seen. And I think there's not enough footage of him because I can't tell you how good he was. And NBA, he's a Hall of Famer, first pick overall in the NBA draft. And I don't know who the second best player in the ACC was when I played. There were a lot of contenders for that, but there was no question who was first. He was the best. But then I hurt my knee. So I ended up having 2 knee surgeries before my sophomore year. I played fine, but I wasn't consistent. Still bothered me. And then I hurt it again. So I had another surgery that summer after my sophomore year. So I played my junior year. Knee stayed swollen the whole time. I had 3 surgeries in 9 months. I was okay. I averaged 16, but I wasn't really what I expected to be. I got a new coach named Terry Holland. I come from Davidson for my last 2 years, and I was not a good defender before that, and he forced me to play the other end, which I'm grateful for because I needed that. But then I got healthy for my senior year, so I really did have I averaged kind of 22. I shot 55% from the field, and they weren't layups, so I got it going.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. Just kind of, I know, like, obviously nowadays you hear everything about as guys. I mean, you don't always end a college career now at that highest level. A lot of guys leaving early. Yep. Like you, like the NBA scouts and all that stuff. But like, how does that process really work? Like, how did that work for you? Getting preparing for the draft and getting ready for the next level.
Nice. Yeah, it was. Of course, I've been on the other side of it too, since I ran an NBA team for a dozen years. Yeah. So it changed a lot from the time I was coming out. I didn't go to a single team for a workout. We didn't have pre-draft workouts. I didn't even have a physical. I was a fifth pick in the NBA draft, and I didn't even have a physical. And I'd had these knee surgeries. So, I should have been a first-round pick, but fifth pick was probably a little high. To where I was. I think probably somewhere in the 10 to 15 range based on the career that unfolded would have been about right. I was honored to be the fifth pick, but it was just I had no idea Portland was interested in me. Phoenix had a 10th pick. They had told me they were going to take me if I was there. So that's all I knew going to the draft. So I was here in Charlottesville, Virginia. I was at a home. I was just staying in the summer, and the phone rings. There's no big get together in New York. You just wait for the phone to ring, and there it is saying, the Portland Trailblazers are taking with the 5th pick in the first round. Like, okay. But I had about 100 of my closest friends. I was trying to be quiet back there, be quiet. But they went crazy. So we had a party.
Oh
man, that's good. So what's it like then? Like obviously you didn't really talk too much to him. You just get the call and all of a sudden you gotta start preparing to leave. It's not too long.
The draft was in late June. The summer league was in July in Los Angeles. I hadn't signed a contract, but I went out and played in the LA Summer League, just with the team. And it was a little risky because I hadn't signed a contract. So what if you get hurt? What if you don't play well? What does that do? Well, I was in good shape. I was pretty confident, maybe borderline cocky at that point in my life. And I played 6 games with their LA Summer League team. And the last game I had 43. So I walked in the locker room. I said, I'll see you guys at training camp in the fall. I'm going back to Virginia. And then it took me a little while to get my contract done. That probably was a mistake because the dollars weren't that big, and it wasn't a scale like you have now for first round picks. Yeah. So I missed a couple of days of training camp, which in the scope of things shouldn't have been a big deal. But I'm coming in as a rookie and ended up being a championship team. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't have been missing any camp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, Ethan, is that the end of your homework, or you got more, buddy?
I got more, but if you want to take back over,
yes. I love it. Keep going, man. I told your dad, he's like, what questions you going to ask? I said, I'm not going to ask a lot of questions. I'm going to turn it over to Ethan.
Yeah, I know you retired from the NBA officially in 1984, but during that stretch, who those guys that you really just remember playing against, you really remember those faces on the court. Who are some of those guys that you'll never?
My matchup now, my 8 years, I was a starter for 2 of those years, and in Seattle and Houston. Seattle, we had a good team. Houston, not so much. But I mean, I played my matchup every night was the small forward position. The 3-man league tended to be where the scorers were. So I'm going to go back to the most famous guys, but some of the guys you might not have heard of, but who led the league and averaged 30 points a game. That guy named Mark Aguirre was the number 1 pick in the draft. Led the league in scoring. Adrian Dantley led the league in scoring. Alex English, Kiki Vandeweghe both averaged around 30 points a game on the same team. Mm-hmm. Bernard King led the league in scoring. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but those are the matchups every night. But Dr. J, it didn't lead the league in scoring, but Hall of Fame, all-time great player was my matchup. The most famous guys, and it's interesting to me how still revered they are and how much they're talked about, were Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. And sure, I guarded those guys too. Now, I always preferred to guard guys like that because guess what? If they lit you up, everyone would go well, it's Larry Bird. Although I actually played pretty well against him, and we beat him my last year in Seattle. But when a guy there was a guy named Nate Williams that gave me a tough time. I had trouble stopping him. Well, you probably never heard Nate Williams, but Nate Williams lights you up like, coaches, you're coming over here. We're taking you out. Mark Aguirre, I couldn't do a thing with. He was just a great scorer. He had I'll be polite here. He had the wide base. And he just wore me, and he kind of reared. He didn't even see me. He just shot right over I wasn't even. Now he wasn't very good at the other end. So, but having said that, the disparity between what I scored and he scored was a little too wide.
Yeah. There's always those guys who are like, maybe I shouldn't contest them. Maybe that'll make it a little bit easier.
I got to tell you, the question I get probably as much as any other after all these years is because as part of his lore is about Larry Bird trash talking. Because I don't know if you've heard these stories or not about Larry Bird. I bet Dell has. And my answer to that is, and I've gotten to know him over the years because we were in the front office at various teams, so I talked to him. But even while we played, he never said a word to me except hi before the game or good game afterward. That's all he ever said. So I don't know what that was about with me, and maybe because I was on the West Coast, but he was always, he was great and great competitor. But I never heard or saw it. But I guess Others did.
I'm not exactly sure how
Maybe he saved it, Ethan. Maybe he saved it for Johnson for Magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
times a year. I'm not exactly sure how timelines and stuff lined up, but a couple of my favorites. Did you ever get to play against Walt Frazier or Dave Bing?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a story about those guys. Well, Walt Frazier, well, you go way back, man. You're going back in the archives, because those guys are around. I worshiped those guys growing up myself, because Walt Frazier, Clyde. So when I come in, he was a little bit on the downhill side. When I came in, actually ended up getting traded from the Knicks to Cleveland. But what a great player. Now Dave Bing, I got to tell you a story about him. Well, you're a Syracuse fan. Is that where the Dave Bing thing came from?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the summer after my senior year at Penn Manor, I'm up working at camps in the Poconos, and I'm working at a camp, and counselors go play the other camps. Well, we go to play Dave Bing's camp, and it's got like 5 guys are going to end up in the NBA. We didn't know at the time, including Dave, and I'm like the best player from the Pocono Invitational, which I'm 18, haven't even played in college yet. We got killed. So I said to the guy who was running the camp, it was Dave's camp, but it was a day-to-day guy. And I said to him, his name's Howie Land, who was a legendary junior college guy. I said, Howie, can I come work here next week? I'm up here anyway. I was kind of a big deal. I made high school American teams. I've been a big recruit. Yeah. And he says to me, well, yeah, I guess we can find a bunk for you, but we don't have any money in our budget. We can't pay anything. But by the way, we were getting $25 a week. That's what counselors were getting. You couldn't pay me $25 a week. So you know what I said? I said, yeah, I'm coming. I worked for free, slept in a bunk with a guy named Terry Furlow and a couple of the Michigan State guys. Terry Furlow ended up being the first-round pick of the Sixers. Were the same year from Michigan State. So I got to be buddies with those guys. But the games at night were incredible. And Dave was an all-pro at this point with the Pistons. And he used to play with us. We're playing on outdoor courts at night in the Poconos. And he treated me like a teammate, like a brother. And there he was. He was 30 years old, all pro, and I was 18. Now I was 18 from Millersville. So I've always been a huge Dave Bing fan and great player and just a great man.
Absolutely. Cool. All right, I got one more. Just about your time in the Italian League. I know, like, obviously that's not the main showcase of your career, but obviously you were very, very successful over there. So I just want to know a little bit more about that.
Well, I went there, frankly, because no one in the NBA would pay me anymore. So I was 30 years old, and I knew no one was willing to pay me anymore. I played 8 years. I wasn't quite as quick, maybe not nearly as quick, and I lost a little something. So I'd already applied to graduate business school. I knew it was going to be my last year playing. So what am I going to do? Well, I got a contract offer from the team in Milan, which is the kind of premier franchise in Italy. And one of the guys on that team is in the Naismith Hall of Fame. A guy named Dino Meneghini was on my team from the Italian League. All the time great. But I made a lifelong friend there who qualified as an Italian. You're going to know this name. Mike D'Antoni was my teammate.
Wow.
And Mike and I are still friends. We're still in touch. And maybe for this reason, while I was in Milano, small world thing, I ended up introducing him to the woman who's now his wife.
Wow.
They've been happily married ever since. So that's why I'm still in good graces. But Mike's a wonderful guy, and obviously had a great and potentially Hall of Fame NBA coaching career too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Ethan, you did your homework. I'm proud of you, big guy. I'm proud of you, man.
I want to know from Ethan how long he spent with Coach Fry, though. How long did that visit go?
Oh, I'm probably about 5 to 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes. He had a lot of stories.
You got a lot of stories. And they're the benefit of being true.
And
absolutely.
So does Donnie Martin. And I didn't want to bring him on here because I didn't want to hear all the stories from him.
Oh, yeah.
Hear them off camera.
We're going to have to clean up the language. We have to do
the censor. I remember
right. We need a censor on here. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Wally, what advice would you have for Ethan as he's entering his college career? He's going to go over to Millersville, and when he was like last year, he's had some health problems. He had a couple collapsed lungs, and he's battled back through that. he breaks his fingers all the time, and he like I said, he's got a motor that just doesn't stop. So what type of advice would you give to Ethan as he continues on with his career at Millersville?
Well, part of it it's already been answered. I can tell you love the game and you're willing to work at it. Just with now the advances that we know in terms of training and how you protect your body, your legs, your knees. We had none of that, but study up on that and do all the resistance work and all you need to do to protect your body to cut down on those injuries. But it sounds like you're a hard worker, and if you love it, the work it's not even hard. You just want to be there. And Pusilla Gymnasium is still called that.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That was built when I was in high school, and went from Brooks Hall to over there. So I know it well, and I hope you get access to it. And you keep up your work ethic, because if you do that, you're going to have a lot of fun playing, and who knows where that leads. Ethan, when I was at Penn Manor, again, you've heard the story. Long before I had any success here, I was willing to tell people, I'm going to play in the NBA one day, and I got mocked and laughed at. But set those goals as high as you want to go and aspire to them, and then work hard, because you just don't know. And at the least, you can have a great experience playing college basketball, and it's a cool place. It's a cool school. So I'm glad, as a Millersville native, I'm glad you're going there.
Absolutely. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh wow, I've had so much fun. I feel like a bridge here. I feel like a bridge between Wally and Ethan. It's like I run a website and we do some history stuff, and I was just so excited to bring you guys together.
That's the old bridge, Dale. I'm telling you that.
Well, it's a good bridge though. Old is good, as long as we can remember it and read books and go from there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And Ethan is he likes to know what was in the past. Obviously, he did a little bit of, but he was real excited. I gave him our book a couple years, or last year we did the book, and they look at it every once in a while. They have everybody's coaching records and things like that. And I know Donnie has taken great interest in Ethan, and Donnie.
I know that he told me long before this that he was impressed with both you guys, and hoped I would have a chance to meet you. So I'm delighted to be here tonight.
Yeah. Absolutely, me too.
Yeah. Well, I hope Wally, when you come back, that Donnie can give you the tour of the new gym, and hopefully we can have a flag up there and have your name up there, so we remember. Now, go ahead.
I'm only a 4-hour drive away. It's not like coming from Seattle now, so I'm out of excuses. True. I know the way. I know that drive too.
You're a little.
I'm gonna get back up there. So
yeah.
I hope to see both of you.
Yeah, let's wait till we get them flags up there, okay?
All right.
Then we'll have you up there, and then you and Ethan will be up there together.
Yeah, great. Love that.
I have one quick Harry Fry story, which both of you will enjoy. So Ethan was talking about our school getting renovated, and the quote East Gym was done years ago, and the rest of the school got done around this East Gym. So during renovation, somehow, some way, your jersey got lost. And Coach Fry found out about it, and he raised holy Cain with everybody. Like, holy Cain, it was crazy. I mean, he was in there screaming and hollering, and it was like, where's the jersey? Where's the jersey? So what happened is the administration got a replica jersey of the jersey that you wore.
All right.
And I don't think that pacified him, but it kind of worked, and we had it hung up out there. But then when they did the next construction project, they found your jersey up in the rafters underneath one of those plastic roof things. So your original jersey is now back hanging in Penn Manor where it belongs instead of up in the rafters.
Well, I'm sure if I see it, I'll be astounded at how kind of narrow it is, and how was I that skinny?
And the short shorts that you wore.
Shorts.
And the other thing I found interesting today, guys, both of you, is while I was doing my research and I was looking at pictures and things like that, is that both of you guys wore 40 numbers. I mean, Wally, you were a 40. Ethan wears 44 in high school. So, I mean, maybe that's because you guys are 6'6" and they gave all
Yeah.
the guards the early numbers and the big.
Remember, they used to give the big guys the high numbers. That was the deal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What was Donnie's number? Do you remember, Wally?
I think he was in the 40s too.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll check with him tomorrow. So, hey, thank you guys. We'll end this for now. I appreciate Wally coming on. I appreciate Ethan talking. I appreciate everything. I had so much fun tonight. I don't know about you guys, but I had a blast.
Absolutely. I
Well,
appreciate it.
likewise. And Ethan, good luck to you. It's a pleasure
Thank
meeting you. I'll
Appreciate
look forward to seeing you in person.
All right, man. I'll end this here. Hang on.
Hey, Del.